moving on to the next part, and we're going to do the questions and answers, but I thought you'd enjoy a bit of controversy as well. So I'm going to invite two gentlemen to join me. These are two recruits to the party under my leadership over the last year, and they are advocates and proponents of free speech, something, of course, that is very unpopular now in our current political climate. And the first one, of course, is Carl Benjamin, also known as Sargon of Akkad. Please come up, Carl. And the second one is one of the new criminals that I've recruited to the party, and he has some tattoos, although he still has his hair, I have to say. And that, of course, is Mark Meehan, also known as Count Dankula, who is now famed for having taught his dog to do a Nazi salute, which of course, as we all know, is a serious criminal offence, or at least it was under the Nazis anyway. It's also a serious criminal offence in Scotland now, so I believe. We'll do the questions and answers. Now, I'll tell you what, chaps, let me do something. Now, if you go to the European Parliament MEPs, you will have the marvellous amount of time of 1 minute to make a speech. It's an art form in itself. It's a bit like that Japanese poetry, haiku. If you can't do it in 150 words, you can't do it. So what I want you to do is, each one of you to do 1 minute on why you're running as an MEP for UKIP. Carl, you go ahead.
Because you guys are severely mismanaging the country. I mean, really, I'm just here to kind of mock the legacy media. Your numbers are going down every day, and our numbers are going up, right? Like combined, the YouTubers are getting like 30 million views a month. You're dying. And it's because do you know what your rating is on Trustpilot, business review site? 84% 1 star for the BBC, 59% 1 star for ITV, and 72% 1 star for Channel 4. I don't care what you say. You are just smear mutchers. Not one of you can tell me what I believe. Not one of you knows. But all of the public know, because they can go to my YouTube channel, Sargon of Akkad, and just watch for themselves. I've been doing this for 5 years. I have nearly 1 million subscribers. Just go and have a look. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not apologising for anything. You dirty, dirty smear merchants. Get there.
European Parliament, of course, his microphone would have been turned off long ago. I've had it done to me. And Carl, now it's your turn. Mark, your turn. 1 minute, please.
One of the main reasons that I would like to go into the European Parliament is because I want to protect people from having their rights infringed upon in regards to freedom of speech and freedom of expression by draconian authoritarian laws. And it seems that every week I'm reading about new authoritarian laws that are being passed by the European Union. For example, I'm nearly gone to prison over a joke. And the primary thing that I find most amusing about that is my overall goal as a codified British constitution models as a Bill of Rights. I want the government shrank down to its most basic use, which is to protect the rights and liberties of the citizens of the United Kingdom. And you call me a fascist for some reason. That's literally the opposite of fascism. So I'm not sure how you have a basis for that. I'm not sure how wanting people to have rights and freedoms is far right, but I'm sure you'll find a way to make it such. Thanks very much.
West, and of course Mark, as you probably gathered from his accent, is a candidate in Scotland. I'm going to let Kirsten choose the questioners, and then we will do our best to get as many of you as possible.
Okay, if you'd like to let me know who you are, who your question is for, I will take by hands. So, yes.
Victoria MacDonald from Channel News. Last night, live on stage, you were, when asked about Durham's handling of the rape tweet, you said...
Sorry, what tweet?
The tweet, the question about rape of the Labour.
There was no question about rape, that's a lie, and I'm not going to accept that framing. No, I'm not accepting that framing.
Tell me
I said I wouldn't either. That's not a threat, it's not promised action, it's actually just a defence.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm not going to be apologising for my crimes against political correctness. I hate political correctness. I'm not answering the question.
The second one... we were all poor students, weren't we? We couldn't afford a hookup, so we had to rape. Not only are you poor, what you keep getting right journalists.
That's a joke, obviously.
Is this, are you willing
I'm
to associate yourself
a
with comments
These,
on
I wasn't at the show. I don't condone any comments or jokes about that. This was part of, I believe, a stand-up comedy show that you're doing. I don't watch Channel 4 anymore. I haven't been able to watch Channel 4 in years. It is so biased, it's unbelievable. Professions in the real world, and these gentlemen are free speech merchants and they do comedy acts. In fact, I did a brilliant one I saw from Mark where he ridiculed the extreme left wing of the Labour Party. I'm trying to get him to do it at a conference. If they make jokes as part of their act, I'm not condoning any jokes or ill-considered remarks, but this is what they are. And as I said to you, do you realise how few people now watch Channel 4 because you are an endless stream of left-wing, politically correct propaganda?
Next question, please. Yes, sir.
Mr. Batten, sorry, it's Jonathan Blake.
84% 1 star, yeah, carry on. No respect for you, mate.
If you are
Let
prepared
him
to
do it.
defend Mr. Bedford, his tweet in 2016 that I wanted to make you.
Is that all you can think about? We've come here to talk about the
Sit
European
down,
elections. All you can do is talk about a tweet from 3 years ago, which I wouldn't claim, I wouldn't condone. He can then answer it in the context that it was done. But that's all you want to talk about. Our country's future is on the line. And the vast mass of people out there couldn't care less.
Sit down, you
Have you got a question about the European elections? Have you got a question about the European elections?
I ask you, have given your defence of that, can I ask you whether you agree with the candidate's local branch in Swindon that he should be deselected?
Oh, Martin Costello, how could you backstab me?
There are people in UKIP that want to deselect me. It's called politics. What happens in every party? If I could keep 100% of everybody happy in my party, then I would be the first politician in the history of the world that's ever managed to do it. Whoever you select as a candidate, some people are going to object and some people are going to walk away. That's the nature of the business.
Thank you very much. Next question, yes, please.
Mr. Batten, Kate McCann of Sky News. I tried to ask you earlier.
You 3 times you asked me the same question on Sky News.
Once, but let's try
No,
again.
did it 3 times.
I asked you earlier on today about your decision to defend your candidate and his suggestion that he wouldn't even rate
Here we go.
We're doing Parliamentary!
I think we've heard
journalist.
You see,
You're supposed to ask questions about the subject.
I explained, you asked me 3 times, I answered you, which was that I don't condone a joke or a remark made by somebody 3 years ago on Twitter. Now, if you held everybody to account for every remark they've ever made in their life, which was stupid, unthought out, uncondonable, there wouldn't be any journalists in this room, would there?
If you let me finish my question.
Chair, can't you keep them to talk about the EU elections?
Mr. Batten suggested earlier that if I would like to hold his candidate to account, I should turn up at your...
Ask someone about the EU elections.
So I would like to ask Carl Benjamin
Go ahead.
why you think it is acceptable to say on Twitter that you wouldn't even rate a female Labour MP.
Because I don't think that there are any difference in that in the way that we should treat them. Unlike the establishment, unlike our judges who literally say if you were a man, I would send you to jail, I think we should treat women the same as men. And that means if a woman is being a giant bitch and laughing at male suicide, I'm going to be a giant dick back to her. Any questions?
So it's acceptable.
Yes!
It is acceptable.
Now, we're going to do something revolutionary here now. I want to know if any journalists have got any questions about the European elections.
Yes, let's please try and keep this to European elections. Yes, sir.
It's Chris Mason from BBC News.
Oh.
This is absolutely about the European elections. You talk directly, Gerard, could you, to a passionate Leave voter who looks upon an event like this and says, and you were dismissive of a poll, I think you were referring to the Times today, talking about dodgy made-up polls.
Yeah.
There is a party, an outfit, the Brexit Party, as you know, doing very well in the polls, and a Leave voter might look and think, hang on a minute, it looks like UKIP is more important to you than delivering Brexit, because you guys could throw your lot in with the other lot and you would be a
Let's-
bigger entity. Is that not just a
Let
simple
me
statement
answer.
of
That's a
fact?
serious
We
question,
take
and
that.
let me answer it. You explain to me how two parties do the same thing at the same time. UKIP is a party that's been around now since 1993. We grew out of the old Anti-Federalist League, so we've been around since 1992. We have a clear policy, no equivocations, everybody knows what it means. We've organised over the years, we've got all of these people up and down the country, branches, candidates, and we run on a platform of leaving the European Union. Somebody decides to leave UKIP and set up another party. Well, I'm trying to answer your question about why we can't work together. Somebody sets up another party just in a very short period of time to fight the same elections. Are people out there expecting me to say, oh no, we shouldn't do this anymore, we should stand aside for somebody that's just stepped in and wants to do it at the last minute? And you cannot work with people on that basis because, first of all, there are 12 regions in the country with 73 candidates in each region. Are you saying to me that we should stand down in some regions or all of the regions or half the regions? Nigel Farage has never spoken to me in the last 12 months. He could have come up to me any time in the Strasbourg coffee bar and said, Gerard, I'm thinking of doing this, what do you think? He has never contacted me to ask me, would I do something or not do something? So if you expect me to march my army into battle and then stand it down because somebody, which might be an army, which might be fighting on a similar policy, marches over the hill, then you can forget it. Yeah. I'm taking my army into this battle to win, and we stand for a real, unencumbered, no ifs, no buts exit from the European Union. What's the Brexit Party's policy? Does anybody know? Leave means leave. Okay, how are you going to do it? Well, we're not going to tell you that because we don't really know. I know how it's going to be done. I could stand up anywhere and give you a talk on how you would leave the European Union if you were going to do it. And what is this party? It is one man. It has no constitution that I know of that's published. I might be wrong on that, perhaps they'll get one out. It has no members. It has subscribers who give money. We have members with a democratic vote inside the party. It has no branch structure, and it has not running any candidates in this local election. And as far as I know, at the moment, it doesn't have any plans to run in domestic elections. All the things that we do. And you expect me, or you're asking, should a Leave voter expect me to say, oh dear, we mustn't do this anymore, we've got to give way to somebody else. Well, no, we're not. Politics is a market, as I said. People have a choice who they're going to vote for. There's 5 weeks of this campaign. They can look at what we're saying. They can look at what we're proposing that the government should do. Or they can vote for a party which is nothing more than a vehicle to put one man in the limelight and a few cronies back onto the Euro gravy train. And if you want me to sum it up in one word, look at the colours that they've chosen. Light blue. It is Tory light. Everybody that's defected to that party or gone to that party is a Tory who couldn't make it in the Tory party. And one of the things that the problems have been with UKIP over the years, which I've had to live with, we have been a refugee camp for exiled Tories. Well, a lot of them have left. Yes, I want former Tories. Yes, I want former Labour. Yes, I want all the people who've never bothered to join a political party but now might. And I want to build a force that goes past these European elections. They're just incidental to what we really want to do, which is to have a new political force in the UK, reform the voting system, make it possible for other people to get elected, whoever they are, whether they be Green or Liberal Democrat or whatever. Let's have a proper voting system where we can actually put our case to the British people and get voted on our merits. But if you think I'm standing aside for somebody on this personal ego trip, then I'm afraid the voters can forget it. They've got to make a choice between a real party or a phony party.
We are at an incredibly crucial moment in our history. We're at a press conference here at the launch of a party which it says it's the home of Brexit, wants moderate, ordinary Brits to vote for it. If you're watching this at home, this press conference, you bring on two self-professed comedians who tweet what they tweet for hits and likes, official question, hits and likes, self-professed to offend people to get attention. Why would moderate, ordinary elite voters back a party like this, one advised by Tommy Robinson, who's a convicted criminal and founder of the English Defence League, someone who stands on a ticket as a comedian who says that it's okay to say, I wouldn't even
That's hardly my policy, is it?
Let me fix this. Let me fix the
What?
question.
I mean,
Right.
don't get me
Okay,
wrong.
if I can remember all of the question. Well, I like the way you use the word self-confessed comedians, rather than the comedians we've got over in Westminster who don't admit to it. So at least we're honest. Put it that way. And I tell you why I think a vast majority of of voters won't be offended by that in any way. Because they're normal human beings who realise that somebody who earns a living as a YouTuber and does a comedy act is also a normal human being who has political views and is very fierce in their defence of free speech, which is something useful that they can contribute to the debate. And I think, with all due respect, the people are fed up with the politically correct media, which is all of the time telling them what is acceptable to say or not acceptable to say. Let's grow up a bit, because there's lots of grown-up people out there in the general population who are going to say, do you know, I think that bloke said something really stupid. But by the way, 90% of the rest of the stuff that he says is quite sensible, so it's not a bad idea to actually vote for him.
Do you think it distracts from the wider argument?
If it wasn't, you mentioned the criminal record thing, so I'll bring that up as well. I keep getting this thrown at me because, as you said, you mentioned it took actually an hour before we got onto Tommy, an hour and a quarter, but we got there in the end. He's not a member of the party. He's not a candidate. And he hasn't been able to give me any advice because his life is under threat and he has a lot more things on his mind at the moment, so that hasn't quite worked out, and the media haven't helped by lying about him either, but that's another story. You've got criminals sitting over there in the House of Lords and the House of Commons. You've got 4 criminals in the House of Lords, one of whom is now on serious grooming charges. They're allowed to make laws over us or influence laws over us. You've got a tagged criminal voting on the Brexit legislation, who's been done for perjury. Well, you've got another perjurer sitting in the House of Lords, haven't you? Lord Archer. That's not libelous, is it? Because he did get done for perjury,
Yes.
didn't he? Yes, I don't want to have to apologise for anything. And you're worried about somebody who might say something politically incorrect or a bit blue, or somebody who might have a previous criminal record getting involved in UKIP. The people out there are not fools. They see what's going on over there. They see that rubble over there of people who do not do what they should do if they had any democratic principles and go along with the general will of the people in a referendum. And you said, is it a distraction? If I hadn't have done this, you'd be distracting about something else. My members of UKIP all know this. Okay, I've done things which some people say, I shouldn't have done that. If I'd have sat quietly in my office, just doing the safe things and making the safe decisions, I wouldn't have put on the thousands of new members that I've got. People wouldn't know who I am. And then you'd be saying, well, you're not very effective, Mr. Batten, are you? You haven't put the membership up, you haven't got any money coming in, you can't print any leaflets. I have to make decisions. Politics is like business. If you get 80% of your decisions right, you're doing well. And I'm probably getting a bit above average on that at the moment.
Yes, sir.
Jim Pickard, Financial Times. If Nigel Farage Brexit Party is such a shambles, they don't know what they're doing, why are they polling 5 times virtual?
I didn't say they didn't know what they're doing. I've never underrated Nigel. In fact, I've always given him credit. He was the best spokesman in that Brexit debate. And I've always said that. I've never said anything else. And all these people here are my witnesses who know me over the years. I've always given him credit for that. What I'm saying is I don't believe that his party is a real party. He says he wants to cause a revolution in British politics. Well, if he wanted to do that, why didn't he stay in UKIP? He had the structure. He had the party. He could have taken it on after Paul Nuttall left. He could have taken it on after Bolton left. If he'd have run for the leadership back when I took over, then I probably wouldn't have run, because I would have figured, well, he's got such a mass. I didn't want to do it anyway. I stood up because no one else would. If he'd have took it on then he could have spent the last year doing what I've done. He didn't do it because he doesn't want a proper political party. What he's always wanted is a one-man dictatorship where he decides what goes on. That's why he doesn't have any members. He has subscribers. It's why he's going to pick all the candidates personally. We had to do a slightly different procedure for our candidates this year because the timescales were so short. But we had a panel of people deciding who our candidates were going to be. So I'm not disparaging his personal abilities, which I've never underrated, I just don't believe that it's a genuine party or it wants a real future beyond this election. And you've asked about this poll. In a space of about 24 hours, it goes from a few percent up into 27%. You expect me to believe that? I don't believe anything I read in the newspapers or polls. And suddenly this poll, where it shoots up, is now then printed as gospel truth in every newspaper. They don't question it, they don't quit. Oh, that does seem a bit suspect to go up so fast. What a remarkable thing. They're just painting it as the truth. And why are they doing that? It's because the media class is like the political class. They do not want UKIP to be a credible political electoral threat after these European elections. They wanted us to disappear last year, we didn't. They'd still like us to disappear. And if you are the establishment, who would you rather have in the European Parliament? Nigel Farage making great speeches, or somebody back here who's going to go into elections and take your votes away? Now, we were running, when I took over, we were running about 2 or 3%. Recently, it's gone up to 7 or 8%. The last poll I saw, and I don't pay a lot of attention to polls, believe me, but the last one I saw was about 11%. If I go into a general election next week, next month, and we're taking 8, 9, 10, 11% away from the Labour and Tories in marginal seats, we will cause mayhem in those seats. And that's exactly what I want us to do. I want to lose as many of those people over there their jobs as possible, and to be honest, I don't much care who replaces them at this stage, because it won't make any difference. In the long term, what I would really like to see, and what I've always said this all throughout the years, when I retire, I want to be able to go down to the polling station and vote for a party I believe in. It won't be Tory, it won't be Labour, it won't be Lib Dem, but I would really like it to be UKIP.
So one final question. Yes, sir, at the back.
Well, how many times do I have to answer the same question? Do you ever listen to the answers that I give on TV to these questions or to the other? Because you all ask the same question. Now, I'll repeat it again for the hard of hearing. Tommy Robinson is not a member of UKIP, therefore he couldn't stand to be selected as a candidate. So no, the answer to your questions is not a member, he couldn't be a candidate. I think the nomination papers are all in today, aren't they, Kirsten? Just about, they're going in over the country now. If he were ever to join UKIP, and I have said, that would be subject to a vote of all the membership, because I understand that it's a divisive issue, and I have said, if that ever happens, it will be a vote of all the members. They will decide. That's not my decision.
We do have to be out of this room, but I do want to say thank you all very much for coming. Thank you for taking part in today's press conference. You will hear a lot more from us. If you do want to get in touch with anybody, please email chris.hicks@ukip.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy it.